How are you doing, Lee? Do you feel like a Chad today, bro?
Yeah, doing good, Josh, man. You feeling like a chat today?
Bro, I feel like a Grandmaster Chad today.
Let's chat it up.
Let's chat it up. So, today I'm joined by Lee, and this is the CHADcast. I'm Josh Jables, and we should be being joined by Gabe, but bro, you didn't set your alarm this morning, so I'm gonna punish you, and if you turn up late, I'm gonna embarrass you live on air. So,
Yeah, there's no excuse for that. No excuse at all. How
that's not what
embarrassing.
Chads do, bro. In fact, Chads don't need an alarm clock. They just wake up at the same time automatically every single day. Not on, bro. um, but yeah, so today we're going to be talking about the three most important things that a man needs to be successful and build the best life for himself. So, Lee, please tell me about yourself, bro. I want to know what your story is because from what you've told me in the past, you've got some very interesting things to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I am. I'll tell you what. I'm living my best life right now. Um, but it took a lot for me to get here. So basically, let's cut a long story short. So I was married for 18 years to my high school sweetheart. So really, we'd been dating since I was 18 years old. Um, since I was a senior in high school. So I'd been together with her for a long time, and essentially, the relationship became abusive, emotionally abusive towards me, if I'm being honest. And this is not something that guys really talk about very much, but one of the things that I want to do is get stuff like this out in the open so that we can talk about it because I think it's important.
Yep.
That aside, so I ended up getting divorced about 7 years ago. And when I did, I lost everything. I was living, at the time, I was living in Atlanta. Um, and so I came here to the Philippines. I'm in the Philippines now. And I came here basically to just kind of start my life over again, get my shit together. And the thing is, I really didn't know what I was doing. Like I said, I was married up to my high school sweetheart, so I really didn't get a chance to do the whole young adult dating and all that kind of stuff, which is unfortunate. But I'm now, like 7 years ago, I was 41 years old and or 40 years old, and just trying to figure things out after divorce because I didn't really know after being married for that long to a person and spending more than half your life with them. You really, at least I did. I lost my sense of identity. I didn't know who I was or what the fuck I was doing. So came over here to the Philippines, get my stuff back together again, and just through a lot of really trial and error and a lot of research, a lot of reading, a lot of taking courses and everything else, I started to figure things out. And I became the complete opposite of what I was when I was married, which is a good thing. I got my shit back together. I got my confidence up. I figured out who I was. And if I'm being honest, I really didn't like who I was when I was married. I didn't know who that guy was. And now I love where I'm at. I love my life. I love who I am. And like I said, I'm living the best life right now. And, if I had to do it all over again, I wish I could turn back time and just kind of slap that guy, around and be like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? But, here I am. I'm grateful for my experiences, and I'm grateful to be here with you and sharing what I've learned.
Well, man, it sounds like you've come a long way. But first things first, this is what I want to get off my chest because, like, you just mentioned that you're how old is it? 47.
Yeah.
Okay, bro. For you look like mid 30s. I don't how do you stay so youthful? What's your secret, bro?
Well, I don't know if this had anything to do with it, but I used to like grooming and style is very important. And I learned this when I was 12 years old. So, like back then, I started using my mom's skincare products every single day, right? And I have no idea if that worked, or if that had anything to do with anything, or if it's just genetics or what. But definitely, regardless of whether that worked back then, I still do it now. I have a skincare routine. I use quality products, moisturizers, and things like that. So that it's really important to do that. And it's something, again, it's another thing that guys, it's kind of taboo around guys, manly men and stuff, but, it's really important to keep that, keep up your appearance and your image and make sure that your skin is healthy. I do it every day.
Yeah, man, you're only going to get one set of skin, so you might as well look after it. And obviously, you've done something right, because it's clearly paid off, because you do not look like someone who's going to be 50 in a couple of years.
Shit, man, I can't believe you just said that. That hasn't hit me yet. See, and then our friend Alexis said, my secret is smoking cigars and drinking good whiskey. I can agree with that, too. I think that's part of it.
Thanks for showing up, Alex. Maybe.
I love that.
And yeah, Alex, if you have any questions while watching, bro, thank you for being our one and only viewer so far. So if you've got anything to share it, bro. Yeah, so you said you was married pretty much, was it 18 years, if I'm not mistaken?
Yep.
So going from high school straight up, and then being with a woman for so long, and then having to totally change things up, that must have been a huge shock for you.
Yeah, to say the least. I just didn't know how to be a man, to be honest, and I didn't know how to navigate life being an adult by myself. I'd really, since I turned 18, I was really only alone for a year, my first year of college in Canada. That was really since we had been together, that was the only time that we were apart for any length of time. And I always say that was the best time of my adult life, is being that 1 year in Canada where I was by myself and just really just enjoying, college and being, out of the US. And, not to say that I didn't have good times since then, but man, really that was a great experience, and I hadn't experienced anything like that since then, up until I got divorced and came to the Philippines. And then, when I came to the Philippines, it was like, shit, man, I'm all alone. I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, alone in the sense of a relationship. I mean, my family's here and everything, but, that aside, I didn't even know where to start. I didn't know how to talk to women or anything like that. I was scared as shit. I didn't know, I might have just been like, hey, baby, like really lame type pickup lines and stuff like that. But no, I learned real quick how to navigate those waters, and I fell on my face a lot. But, whether it was dating or even my business took a hit when I moved over here, and there was just a lot that I had to sort of relearn and rediscover, and I think I'm better off for it.
Yeah, man, definitely. And it sounds like you've come a long way. And, when we get used to a certain way of life for so long, we get very comfortable. And then when things, things have to change, it's a very, very difficult thing. And I've been there myself, in terms of relationships, and you've got to be able to navigate that. And I think in a way as well, it's good to experience something like that, because you kind of get to learn a lot about yourself. I think that's where you're going to grow the most, where you're really kind of suffering in that way. I think it's very good. So yeah.
100%.
Yeah, definitely. And with that being said, what do you think is the number one thing that you would tell yourself if you could go back to being 18 or 21 or whatever age it's going to be?
Yeah, I get this question a lot. because this is something. Ever since I figured things out, and people meet me, and I, I guess they kind of gravitate towards how I've become, and they always ask me, what's your secret, or what's the number one thing you would say, or whatever. My answer is usually the same. And the first thing is, honestly, it's nothing earth-shattering or anything, but I would say the first thing is to be able to set boundaries and be able to enforce them. Because what ended up happening for me, I didn't have any of that. I let people walk all over me, whether it was my ex or friends, or it doesn't matter, even business associates, colleagues. So I didn't have my own boundaries. I just let a lot of things go, and I thought I was being nice by doing that, right? But as it turns out, it really kind of messed with who I was, and it just made me uncomfortable in a lot of situations, and it made me kind of swallow a lot of things that I probably shouldn't have swallowed, and I let people get away with things that they shouldn't have been doing, to me, or saying things to me or anything like that. And definitely that it showed up the most in my marriage. I didn't have any boundaries, so she would, she'd bring up stuff in the past, for example, that, I apologized a million times for, but, and I'm sure this is a common experience with guys. It's like, women they have a limitless data bank of things that happened in the past that they'll just bring up at a moment's notice, right? And then they'll use it against you in an argument or anything really, to try to, I don't want to say manipulate you, but that's what happens sometimes. And without boundaries, for example, if I had said, that that's not acceptable, I'm not going to tolerate that kind of thing, then, a lot of things that I'd gone through might have been different. But because I didn't, and I didn't enforce them, I might have thought to myself, well, I don't like it when that happens. I don't like it when people say that to me. I don't like it when she said that. And, I would prefer that you not do that to me, or you not say that to me. So I would say that stuff to myself, but I wouldn't enforce it. So if you don't enforce it, you really don't have any boundaries whatsoever. So that's what ended up happening. And I can go into like a million stories about this, but essentially what ended up happening was that, she trampled all over me, did whatever she wanted, said whatever she wanted. I just let it go. And the more I let it go, the more empowered she felt to keep doing these things. And, to the point where it just really became abusive. And it was, and we have 3 kids. And it was not a good example either for my kids to be able to, to see what was going on with me. So, definitely the number one thing is being able to enforce boundaries. And I guess further to that, you have to be willing to walk away. And this applies relationships, business, friendships. You, like, when you're negotiating, for example, the strongest position in negotiation is when you're able to walk away from the table. And sometimes you're going to end up, losing out on a deal or whatever. But in the end, it's better to lose out on a bad deal, and walk away. Or it's better to walk away from a good deal that you didn't feel good about either. And if I was willing to walk away at the very beginning when I was 21 or when I was 18, because there are signs of this from the very beginning, and you're in the beginning, you're in love and hormones are taking over, and you don't want to be honest with yourself when this is happening, right? You let a lot of things go just because you want to, you have an agenda that you want to achieve too. But the longer you let it go, and if you're not willing to walk away, then they'll feel like they can walk all over you, and they'll feel like they can do anything they want to you. And and it spirals downhill from there. Nothing good comes out of it. So for me, that's number one.
So, what I want to know is, since you've started setting boundaries in your life and you've got more comfortable with that, how has life changed? Like, what's different now as opposed to back then?
Well, so this, in your entire life, you meet people, and some are good for you, some are bad for you, right? And if you don't set and enforce boundaries, then you let bad influences kind of, for lack of a better word, influence, your life and have a negative impact on your life. So if you are willing to set those boundaries, if you're willing to enforce them, and if you're willing to walk away, and if you're very clear on what those boundaries are, then people cannot walk all over you like that. People cannot, treat you the way you don't want to be treated, right? So if, like, even just a friend, if they cross you in some way, like if they promise something and then they welched on it, or, just something egregious, you don't need those kinds of people in your life, right? And these days, I'm much more willing to cut ties with people who don't sort of, who don't elevate me, or who don't, well, I'll say this. So I have a way of living my life now, right? And I am who I am. And people can be a part of it, or they don't have to be a part of it. And either way is fine with me, right? In the beginning, it used to be that I used to want everybody to be a part of my life regardless. And it got me in trouble sometimes. So now I'm much more selective about this kind of thing. And I'm open, right? I'm open for people, to be friends with, to have conversations with, anything. But, if I sense that it's not a good relationship for me, or if it's, just somehow it's just not good for me, or doesn't, add to my life in some positive way, I am willing to just cut ties and just be like, just fuck off out of my life. I don't need that shit. And this especially shows up as I've gotten older. I just don't have time. My tolerance for bullshit has gone way down since I was 20. In my 20s. If I'm quicker to pull the trigger and get rid of negative influences in my life, because I really don't have that much time. I've lived more than half my life, and I still have many good years left. So I don't want to spend those good years like fucking around with people that don't need to be in my life.
Yeah, and you've got to be able to set boundaries, because if you're not willing to do that, even if people, you get good people in your life who mean really well, by you not letting them know that's not okay with you, for example, they're going to do it, and they might not even be conscious that they're, overstepping the mark. And because you haven't said, look, that's not okay, they've got no way of knowing. So you're not communicating your needs in that moment. So even if they do like you, even if they do respect you, they're not going to do it consciously. So it's very important to establish those boundaries.
Exactly. And even in business as well. Like if you're working with clients, for example, and I've had a digital marketing agency for a long time, and clients would start to infringe upon the scope of the work, for example, right? Scope creep, we call it. And they'll we set an engagement, a project, for example, and this is what's included in the project, this is what's included in the engagement, and then they'll say, oh, can you also do this and this is after the fact, and they'll start to ask you for things. And if you say, yeah, okay, yeah, sure, that's just a minor thing, I can do that, no problem, and then you do it, and then they'll feel like, oh, well, then this guy's willing to do whatever, and they'll start to infringe upon, your agreement, and then you're going to end up doing a lot of work that you shouldn't be doing, just because you let one or two times slip by. So even in any aspect of your life, setting those boundaries is crucial. And that's really, honestly, that's where I learned it from in the beginning, was in the business world, and I learned it the hard way. I let clients walk all over me too, but I was quicker to sort of enforce those things in the beginning, because by necessity, because it was like, oh, well, eventually it came to the point where I don't have time to do it, or, they're not paying me enough to do it. So it's either, okay, I'm not going to do it because it's not in our agreement, or yeah, sure, I can do it, but it's just going to cost you. So, you can take those same principles anywhere in your life.
Yeah, definitely. And when you don't set boundaries, it starts to drain you, because you're doing things that you don't want to do when you don't need to do, and it feels very bad to do it. So yeah, boundaries, very, very important. And, with that in mind, what do you think is the second thing that you'd tell yourself if you could be 21 again?
Well, how do I put this? So part of the reason why I sort of lost my identity and lost who I was, and why I was trampled on and eventually was abused, was because I did not have the confidence in myself to, well, as I said, to walk away, but also, focusing on just, women here, relationships. So I would say, what do we call it? Confidence, maybe self-confidence, having the self-confidence to know that even if you do walk away, that you would be just fine. Right. And what I mean by this, so what used to happen with me was that, my ex and I would have a fight or whatever, and then she would say stuff like, I'm going to leave you unless you are like this or like that, or unless you do this. And I was so weak and I was so pathetic back then. I used to be like, no, please, I used to beg her, like, don't leave me, I can change, and I know a lot of the guys watching this also, they've gone through this and they might not even realize it. I know I didn't. But they're like, because, for me anyway, because I didn't have the confidence in myself to be like, like, fuck it, if she does leave, then no problem, I can just, be with someone else. Like, I can find another relationship. I can find someone else that will actually accept me and love me for who I am, right? I didn't think like that. I was more like, oh, please don't leave me, because you're the only one I got. And I didn't have the confidence in myself to walk away, and to find something else. So yeah, so what happening was, when she would say, I want you to be a certain way, then I'd be like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. I promise I'll change, and I'll promise I won't screw up ever again. And all the terrible, terrible things that are anti-masculine, really. And it led down a really bad path for me, over, the last 10 years of my marriage.
And I think, like, just going by what I see in the group every single day, I think confidence has probably got to be the number one struggle that almost every man has or has had in some capacity, in his life. And, I think, like, what would... I think it's easy to say that, just be confident, just do this, just do that. But, like, what did it take for you to be fully confident in yourself and have the power to just be able to walk away knowing that you're going to be all right? Like, what did it take?
Well, I'll tell you, in the beginning, it took almost being, well, the abuse got to the point where it was just like I couldn't take it anymore, right? Um, I'll tell you a story. This is sort of how it began, or like this is what kind of sparked things for me. So I'm here in the Philippines, and the reason I was here in the Philippines is because my son at the time was 16 years old, and he signed a professional soccer contract to play soccer here. So, so I came with him because I got to look after him, and you know the whole works, and help him navigate being here in the Philippines. And I actually became, not because you know he was on the team or my son or whatever, but I became part of the staff of the team. So I was helping the team out with like media functions and things like that. And so there's this one night that, you know, being in the Philippines, there's like, you know, the big thing here is karaoke. You know, everybody sings here. So the staff of the team invited me out, and they said, you know, hey, like join us for karaoke, right? And the first thing that popped into my head was, holy shit, what's my wife gonna say? Like, how is she gonna react if she finds out that I went karaoke, right? And so I didn't go. I kept making excuses not to go, just because I was scared of what she might say or how she might react. And you know, they invited me again and again, and finally I was like, what the fuck? I'm halfway around the world. She has no idea, like, what I'm doing here. You know, how is it that I'm letting those thoughts affect what I'm doing here, right? If I just want to go out with my friends and just have a good time and it's just fucking karaoke, you know? It's not like I was going to a, you know, strip club or anything. So I was like, all right, well, I just kind of had to get the courage to say yes to something that simple. It's just like, I just realized I'm halfway around the world. Let's see what happens. You know, I can't believe like I'm being this controlled, you know, being this far away. So I said, okay, yeah, I'll go. And then I went, and the whole time I'm anxious. I've got this anxiety, and you know, I'm scared, and I'm like, I'm telling the people I'm with, hey, don't tell my wife. Don't tell my wife I'm here. Don't tell my. And it's like, they're like, who are we gonna tell? We don't even know your wife, for God's sake, you know? Like, don't even worry about it. Don't worry about that shit. So I tried to have a good time, and I did to some extent, but it was always gnawing in the back of my mind. But after that night, it was like, all right, so I did it, and nothing happened, right? I'm still here. I'm still alive. Lightning didn't strike. And so that sort of gave me the courage to do it some more. And the more I did it, the more free I felt. And because up until then, no matter what I did, I never felt free. I used to play hockey on Sundays, for example, back when I lived in Atlanta. I was in a beer league, you know, playing hockey every Sunday. And even just that, there are females on, you know, that used to play too. And she used to give me a hard time about that, even though I had nothing to do with it, you know. But she used to give me a hard time. And even just playing hockey, you know, like that's like my happy place. And even that I couldn't enjoy fully 100% because I was worried about what she might think, even though she didn't go to the games. You know, she didn't go with me. So same thing. I was out here trying to enjoy myself, but I couldn't do it 100% because of, you know, it's gnawing in the back of my mind. But the more, you know, I thought about it, and the more I really, I went out and did it, the more I realized, you know, it's not right to have this kind of hold on me like this. And eventually I just got up the courage to be like, you know, fuck it. This relationship just is not good. And I had to leave.
Yeah, and you know, it's a shame because a lot of us have to learn the hard way to be, you know, confident, for example. And you know, it's a matter of awareness as well. Like you mentioned, you had this realization that you you know, you're getting anxious and scared about what she might think, but she's halfway across the world. How could she possibly affect you? And you know, just by thinking about that okay, there is a problem here, and I need to address it. And but by continually experiencing that discomfort, that's helped you to get used to it and not feel so anxious anymore. So, I'd say anyone who's struggling with that, like, just try and experience the discomfort, because it gets easier. And yeah,
it does.
so what I want to ask you now is, like, what else do you think it is needed to, what would you tell yourself? What would you tell yourself at 21? Like, what's the most important thing ever aside from boundaries and confidence?
Well, I would say you got to know. So when I was in business in Atlanta, I had a mentor. His name was Ed. We went out to lunch one day. And yeah, Alex, you go ahead and tell her that. We went to lunch one day, and I was struggling with a business problem. And it was really, the problem was more or less like, I needed to put a lot of money into the business that I didn't think I had, because I was struggling at the time. And he gave me this advice. And honestly, this is one of the biggest pieces of advice that changed my life. He said, look, when it comes to money, you're always going to make more of it, right? It's not like time, once it's gone, but money will always come back, right? That's not, this is not the advice, but it's getting there. So I said, yeah, yes, I do understand that. And he said, now let's think about the worst case scenario. Let's say that you put in all this money and it doesn't work out the way you're planning it. What happens then? And I'm telling him, I don't know, man. I'm scared. I'm fucked, whatever. And he said, I want you to think about just in the normal day-to-day living, right? Not just just think about this in your own life. Have you ever had a time when you were rock bottom, or that, things were so desperate for you that you thought there was no way out? Have you ever thought about, or have you ever experienced anything like that? I said, yeah, sure. I've been laid off from jobs before. I've been rock bottom. There was a time that I was living in my mom's basement, and I used to deliver newspapers every morning and making like $700 a month just to survive, and that was, and during the course, and this is a whole nother story altogether. I was carjacked actually during the course of that. So that was a fairly rock bottom moment. So yeah, I told him that, and he said, well, here's the thing, and here's the advice, that no matter what happens in day-to-day life, no matter how bad it gets, no matter how fucked you are, right? Things always work out in the end. Like, everything is going to be all right. And that's, it's cliche, right? You've heard that before. Everybody, hears some version of that at some point in their lives. And I've heard it. But it didn't really register until I had this conversation with him. He was like, everything works out no matter how bad things get. You'll see. And I really thought about that. And I said, holy shit, like, he is 100% right. Everything bad that's happened to me, and even the people that I'm close with, even my friends or whatever, I think of, stuff that's happened to them, all the bad stuff. And everybody always comes out better in the end. It just, things have a way of working out no matter what. And knowing that has given me courage to pursue things that I never, previously would have tried to pursue, up to and including divorce. And what ended up happening in the divorce was I lost everything. Everything, literally. I mean, I had, I was living the American dream, the cliched American dream. I had the big house. I had luxury cars. I had, I had a booming business. 3 kids, 3 dogs, the whole works. I was literally the American dream. And I lost everything. My savings, all my money, retirement, everything. I came to the Philippines literally with 2 suitcases of my clothes. That was all I had in the world. So that was fairly rock bottom. But I was able to do that because of the advice that I got from Ed, which is, it's going to work out. It's fine that I lost everything. It's okay. Because my first instinct was, I got to hold on to everything. I need my money. I need my house. I need everything, right? And for what? Just to, hang on to this abusive relationship. And who knows where that might have led had I remained in that relationship. And that's a whole nother story that I can get into. But in any case, just the advice being that knowing that everything is going to work out, even if you don't see it at the time, it just will. And so I fucking went for it. And it's one of the best decisions I ever made in my life, because where I am now and who I'm with and what I'm doing and where I am, just where I am in life in general, just, it all worked out.
And as they say, like, life always finds a way. It's there's always going to be, like you said, you can always make more money, you can't make more time, but I think if you're always willing to learn no matter what, then you could pretty much achieve anything. Just stay humble and always be prepared to work, take action and learn. Gabe's just trying to join, but I can't see him, I can't hear him. Gabe, it says here that you're experiencing connectivity issues, and it says to refresh and re-enter the studio. I don't know if you can hear me, bro, but we'll try that. So while Gabe does that, do you think that, would you say that you had to learn a lot then when you lost out on everything? Because I imagine it was a pretty hard situation to get out of.
Yeah, I used to not have the courage to stand up to it, right? And going back to the boundaries conversation. So there were times that I would speak up and be like, well, why are you bringing this up again? Like, I've already apologized for this, and I'd really appreciate if we not go back to that, or if let's not rehash that. Let's talk about, the problem that we're facing right now, things like that. And when I did that, she would shout me down and and beat me up over it, and to the point that, okay, I'm sorry, like I apologize. Like I would be the one apologizing for trying to set that boundary. So, just being able to get over that, and then just learning. I had to learn everything all over again, So, it was tough, but like I said, man, I'm grateful for it.
Well, I'm glad that things have worked out for you. They're not going to work out for Gabe because he just joined late and he forgot to set his alarm. So, very naughty boy, Gabe. I'm removing your CHAD license. You better expect it, bro. I'm not happy with you today. We had plans, bro. And you
making
you
Americans
ruined
look bad everywhere.
What I would say to Gabe is, well, I'd normally when we start the show, when he first joins us, I'd ask him if he's feeling like a Chad today.
I'm not a Chad today.
He's not a Chad today.
Darn it!
I'm very, very disappointed. But saying that, maybe you can he can make things up. So yeah, did you catch anything like while you was here, Gabe? Before, like, did you?
Yeah,
Do you have
caught
any
a
idea
little
of
bit
what
of it.
of what we were discussing?
Lee, it's good to see you. I'm glad you were able to make it on today. Sorry for my delay. If you want, you could give me like a small recap, catch me up to speed, and we can continue forward, or we can just continue forward. I'm cool with whatever.
What do we do? All right, I'll give you a quick recap. No, so I'm a divorced guy over 40, and I had to learn life all over again. Being an adult all over again after being divorced. After 40, and really, the advice largely is the same, whether it's a divorced guy over 40 or a guy just starting out at 21. Starting out their adulting journey, and so. Like the biggest piece of advice that I would give so far that we've talked about. So number one, I would say, set your boundaries and enforce them. Make sure people don't walk all over you. The second thing, especially when it comes to relationships and when it comes to dating and women, is that, and anything really, but in my case, it's just having the confidence in yourself that, look, you're not tied to just one woman. Right, I didn't have the confidence to walk away and say to myself, yeah, like even if I walk away, I can find another relationship, no problem. Right, I didn't have that mentality because, and it shaped my marriage in that, I used to conform to whatever she wanted rather than me being who I am. So just having that confidence to be yourself, to walk away, and to know that. That you would be desired if you were back out into the market again, is number two. And then number three is that just knowing that everything, no matter what, will work out in the end. Everything's going to be all right. Gotcha. No matter what, it's going to be all right. And just as long as you're resilient and you don't let life beat you up and just resign and just like get into a shell and withdraw from life. As long as you're willing to fight for it, everything will work out. Everything will be okay. And that's really, that last thing that we've been talking about has really given me the courage to really pursue things in life that I never thought that I would.
Yeah, that's encouraging to hear, making the best out of a less than ideal circumstance.
Yeah, so thank you for sharing, Lee. So yeah, I think we should maybe see if anyone's left any questions. By the looks of it, I think it's literally just Alex today. I'm just going to read some of his comments out right now. So yeah, he said, the team is here. His secret is smoking cigars and drinking good whiskey. So I don't know if I'd recommend that, but you never.
Ooh, I think we lost Grandmaster Jables.
I'm going to tell her now.
We lost Josh.
What's your response to that,
Give
Lee?
him
Like
a hard
what?
time for it since I showed up late.
I don't know what happened there, but my headphones I think just
Way to go.
disconnected. That's not good. Yeah. So.
Yeah, we can't see you.
Can you guys hear me?
At least
all right?
I can't see you.
Can you hear? Yeah, I can't see you.
You know what? We can keep it this
Oh.
way. I think Lee and I are okay if we keep it this way, Josh. We know that you look great.
So yeah, I mean, so
Okay.
you're picking up in the middle of a conversation, but I mean, like, is there something that you wanted to like know about my journey or anything?
Sure. Well, I like what you were saying thus far about having the confidence. And I know a lot of people have different stances on divorce in general, but more focusing on the confidence and rebuilding aspect. What kind of was your mindset going into that? Like, you knew it wasn't going to be good, right? You knew it was going to take a lot of work. How did you find that inner confidence to pursue what you wanted to go do, and then find that to rebuild?
I think for me, a lot of it was just driven by loneliness, to be honest with you. It was the first time in my adult life, and I think you missed this point, but I was married to my high school sweetheart, so we'd been together since my senior year of high school. So really, I hadn't experienced like, dating on on any kind of like, on any level. Back in high school, yeah, like casually here and there, but nothing serious, nothing major. So, being alone for the first time, since high school, which was over 23 years. Yeah, it was scary as fuck. And, but, I mean, I'm just a red-blooded male like anybody else. And, you got needs and you gotta, get yourself out there. So really, in the beginning, it was just kind of like, look, I don't want to be just like this hermit, holed up in my room. Like there's got to be more to life than just this. I just left a relationship. I'm all alone. What the fuck am I gonna do? And I wanted to get out there. I wanted to, at the very least, just hang out with some friends, because that was something when I was married. And this is how bad the relationship got, really. I would be given a hard time by just hanging out with friends and even just business associates. Just the normal course of life. Nothing suspicious, nothing unsavory, and I'd be given a hard time by the ex about hey, who are you hanging out with? What's going on there? And there's this like undertone to it. So just being away from that for the first time and being able to really just live outside of that cloud, without that cloud, I just wanted to be able to experience that. And like I said, it was sparked in the beginning by just going out just for karaoke with some friends. And then it just kind of went from there. So I just wanted more of it. That's really what kind of drove me and got me out there. And then, as I'm doing that, then I'm building up the courage and the confidence to, figure out who I am, try to navigate my way around not just friends, and then, but in the dating scene too. And just, trying to be around women that I would have found intimidating back when I was, in my 20s. I just went for it. I was like, fuck it. At this point, I'm at rock bottom. I got nothing to lose. So yeah. Once I had that attitude, it was like, it's all go from there. It's go time.
Sure. I got you. Were you, sorry, Josh, I didn't mean to cut off your question. I just wanted some extra clarification from Lee here. We can't see you, so we just completely forgot about you. Our bad.
Yeah, man. See, what happened is, I don't know why, but maybe I just reached a certain level of Chad energy that I transcended into a non-visual spirit form or something, so
Maybe.
that's why you can't see me right now. Yeah. Or maybe just my Bluetooth headphones decided to be stupid and disconnect midstream, which somehow disconnected my camera. And now, because Riverside is a stupid application, I can't change my camera to be back on. So yeah, that's great. But it's cool. So yeah, I want to thank you, Lee, for coming on today. It's been really good having you. My question to you is, are you wearing the loafers right now?
Unfortunately not. I wish I was, because it would be very Chad of me to be doing that knowing that you don't like it.
I know. I have a real problem with loafers. I think I don't mind it if you're wearing socks, it's acceptable. But if you're not wearing socks, that's just an immediate ban from the group. And
that is true.
We can't allow that.
Ban people for less.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, man, is there anything you would like to say before we wrap things up?
I've been on this journey, and it took me a long time to figure out, what I needed to do, how I needed to be, to get where I am today. But it doesn't matter if you're, 40 years old, 60 years old, 20 years old, whatever, right? All the same advice applies. And, you'd be better off if you do it if you're younger, of course, but it's never too late. And, you can be living your best life at any time if you just know what direction, if you know what direction to go. So, if any of this resonates with anybody and, you want to ask me any questions, I would be more than happy to, share my experience and hopefully add some value to whatever you guys are doing out there in the group. But I've experienced a lot, probably more than I bargained for, but I keep saying I'm grateful for it because I am now living my best life, and I've got some things coming up that's going to make it even better, and I can't wait. So yeah, if anybody's got anything, anybody wants to reach out to me, I would be more than happy to engage.
Well, again, Lee, thanks for coming on the show. So me and Gabe have this section of the podcast where we highlight some of the things in the group, and I don't know if we did any preparation for today. I can't really remember. But Gabe, is there anything right now that you'd like to highlight that you think is going well in the group right now?
I was thinking about this on my way in. Yesterday was Father's Day, and we're in the month of Men's Mental Health Month. Everybody wants to call it Pride Month and this and that. This is Men's Mental Health Month. So to all of you fathers out there that are watching, that are in our group, well done. Just going through making the hard decisions, being men in this society is so difficult, and just you made the hard choices and you decided to continue on the civilization and have kids and go to work for them every day and do all those things and put in that work. Lee, I'm sure as a father as well, it's no easy undertaking. So just super proud of all of you dads out there. And then for the Men's Mental Health Month, reach out to somebody if you feel like your buddy's struggling or something. Don't be afraid to approach him and try to start a conversation. Go out to eat with him, shoot him a text, give him a call. Just do something to be present in another man's life this month, and maybe we can mitigate any kind of depressed feelings or suicidal ideations and stuff like that. We work a lot better as a community, and that's what we are. That's what our group's about. That's what Josh Jabel started it for. And we're running 105,000 members strong. So let's keep it up and just kind of spread our network out across there and check up on our homies, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, that's huge, man.
Yeah, man.
I'm glad you brought up mental health. Sorry, Josh, but I'm glad you brought that up. And we touched on this a couple of times in the last hour. But there are a lot of things that men find taboo to talk about, because of fear of, what other men will think or whatever. And it's like, fuck that. Who fucking cares? Like, if you think that, you're struggling in whatever it is with your relationship, or if you think that, it's not manly if I talk about being emotional, I have this emotional struggle or my mental health or anything like that, these are all things that I struggled with, and I'm out here and I'm putting myself out there and I'm talking about it, and I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. So if anybody else feels that way, just go ahead, man. Like, you can reach out to me if you know, you feel like you might get a little backlash from anybody else or whatever. That's fine. You know, just reach out to me. But if, you know, if you're feeling confident enough, just go for it. You know, let's talk about it. Let's get a lot of this stuff out in the open. Let's talk about the things that men, you know, should be talking about, that because it's so repressed, you know, for so long because of whatever standards that men are supposed to have, you know, and we don't talk about it, and then it becomes like a problem, and it becomes toxic, and it eats away at us. So I'm glad you brought that up. I think we should really highlight that, and men should feel comfortable, especially in a group like this. You should feel comfortable enough to talk about anything like that's affecting you, and everybody else should be supportive of that and not try to tear each other down. So, just my 2 cents.
Yeah, you know, I agree completely. We do everything we can to create that safe environment. Now, admittedly, some people don't always follow those rules, but when they don't, we deal with them, we ban them, we make sure that we're setting that boundary. And anyone who doesn't want to respect that, you know, they're gone. We're not interested in having them in the group. And yeah, you know, that's actually something that I think we should cover in a part 2. So if you guys are interested in a part 2 where we talk about men's mental health and, you know, is it okay to talk about his feelings, things like that, then let us know down in the comments. And final thing I want to talk about just before we wrap things up is, Lee, do you feel like, even though Gabe has joined very, very late into the podcast, do you feel like he's worthy of his CHAD license being reinstated?
I'll give him a pass today. He's a good guy. So, you know, CHAD doesn't mean you're 100% perfect all the time, so it's all good. So, you're still a CHAD in my book.
Dude, I'll send you that $20 later, man. What a guy.
Yeah. Well, I think I've probably lost some CHAD points because my camera's not working, which is very frustrating, but it is what it is. So yeah, Lee, thanks for coming on today. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for joining us about 75% of the way through. Right, but it's cool. We've given you CHAD license back, and yeah. So guys, this has been I'm pretty sure it's episode 6 of the CHADcast. Thanks for watching.